website, but very little. And I think maybe I'll be speaking next month, but
Yes.
if I'll start talking about e-commerce strategies, then it's really important. So far, but one of the things I'm wondering is how many people actually walk into a grocery store or retail store and then look at reviews if they should not buy an item, or if they just have an impulse purchase and just buy it because it's there and it looks good.
But maybe seeing reviews online would be something that would bring them to a store to find a product.
Yeah, it depends on the platform, right? So for example, because I'm an alcohol, I can't be sold on Amazon or any e-commerce platform. So that's not my strategy in my industry, right? Technically, or not legally, I'm not allowed to sell directly to the consumer, so I don't operate with product reviews as much as a non-alcohol beverage item would or a food item would.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be like instead of reviews, it'd be more like advertising of like how cool it is to drink that particular alcohol.
Yes, there I would be careful with pranking in case of pranking.
Yeah. What do you all do?
Well, we're mostly here because of the Shade Island to hear more about your experiences with Interview. We're a little early on to be focused on the reviews part where we are, but we're here with and also in the local food sort of.
Have you started?
No, so
You're
it's
concepting out.
We're like, we don't have, yeah, we haven't, we're not on the road certainly, and we're in just some of the middle stages. So this is a little early for us, but I am interested to hear in terms of, because what we're looking to open exists elsewhere, and some of the folks will have like a 5-point, star rating, Facebook, let's say, and they're it's a 5-point scale. And so they'll have really high reviews, but I don't know what that translates into people coming, does that drive traffic to your truck? How much does that matter? There's that whole idea of driving reviews to you, like, well, I don't know if I'm completely sure of the value, but I believe it exists, and even differently, but I just can't, figure it out. Because
I think, it kind of depends on like what business you're in, or So I would think like on an e-commerce or like website, I would think having testimonials would be really helpful. Like not necessarily like a 5-star rating on Google, but like a testimonial of their website, like on his website of his happy, customers. If it's like B2B business, So like, I think that would be like a different way to look at a review.
I
That would
imagine
help
you're going to
business.
touch on some of this in your talk, right?
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah, it's about just helping to build that relationship online. Is that what getting reviews is doing? Just having a conversation or dialogue, or is it hoping that those reviews and their feedback on your product will bring other customers? We don't know. I don't know enough to know.
Are you guys looking into starting like a food-related business or like a food truck or a restaurant? Do you know what type you guys want to do?
Yeah.
Like a dessert or?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what's that?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Is it Shaved Ice also?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm sure I think
So
some
you
of these
could-
things are going to come up, but then we can maybe talk more about it afterwards. So let me just do some quick announcements. On Thursday, January 23rd at 5 p.m., we're going to have a happy hour at Penny Lane Street Bar, which is on San Jacinto. It's not too far away from here. Austin Food Marketing and Birdware Creative, that's our business. We're going to buy drinks for the first 50 people who come. So come on out. It's on our meetup page. You can get more information. And then our next talks are Chris from Soleil. He's going to tell a story about starting his brand, and we'll be sharing, I think, some samples, possibly, and what that experience is like. And then on Tuesday, March 3rd, we're going to have a speaker who's talking about research and how that research can impact your food marketing strategy.
I need to make a mental note for yours that I need to mention samples to people in the newsletter.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm excited to introduce Rahul today. He is the owner of Shaved Ice Island, which is the highest rated, I believe, as far as star rating, dessert company in Austin. And he also does a really awesome YouTube channel where he does different sorts of interviews and jokes and sort of engaging things out in the community. And he's going to come up here and talk about pranking your customers and how to improve loyalty and get repeat business. So thank you.
I like how this baby was mean mugging me the entire time we were talking. I couldn't stop looking at the baby because she was just like. All right, the name of our presentation is 3 Powerful Ways to Increase Loyalty and Repeat Business. Our business is Shaved Ice Salmon, as she said. We have a giant trailer in South Austin in front of Westgate Lanes bowling alley, Blinken and Westgate. Any of y'all 3 been up there before? Yeah. We cater for companies like Yeti Coolers, Apple, Tito's Vodka, Samsung, Tinder, Torchies. We've done Facebook, Bazaar Voice, and just a bunch of schools and churches. Currently have a staff of about 20 people. How did we get started? I started in 2014. I really didn't know what I was doing when I started the company. It just seemed like I had like a little bit of a food marketing background, working with different restaurants, but as far as shaved ice goes, like I wasn't, I liked it for sure. But once I started the business, I didn't even know how to, how to run a food trailer or to like how to actually make frozen desserts and any of that stuff. So then when I actually started using the machine, the ice machine that you use like giant rectangular blocks in there. I didn't know how to actually use the machine or like tighten the machine. So then when I would, for my first like dozen customers or so, like the machine would just rip through the entire ice block and just be like, and just eat up the entire block in like 5 seconds. And I'd be like freak out. I'd be like, I don't even know what's going on. Like I didn't know how to use the machine and like how to actually make people's desserts. But eventually I like figured it out. Started to serve customers, but then I didn't really know where to serve. So I went to some parks, I went to some like foot traffic type areas. Like I didn't know where to take this giant truck that I designed and created. I eventually found like a good spot at a popular pool out near the Mueller area. And I just like set up shop over there, and like business was like popping. I was like super excited. I had a long line, and I was like feeling like this is going to be like a major success. But I didn't realize it's illegal to serve at a city pool or park without like a special permit. So the person that busted me was cool. He just said, "Hey, here's a number. Call this person, and they'll get you like moving in the right direction." That permit took a little while to get, so I ended up like floating around Austin for a while. I eventually found a food truck spot next to La Barbecue. Anybody had La Barbecue before? Popular like barbecue spot in Austin, over on Cesar Chavez. But I didn't realize that they were closed on Monday, they were closed on Tuesday, and the busiest times for shaved ice, or like if you're going to start like a frozen dessert of some kind, the busiest time for those desserts are in the afternoon and in like the late evening, like after dinner when people want to get something to eat. So La Barbecue was like Franklin's, they were sold out of barbecue by like early afternoon, so I didn't realize that the food park was completely empty like by the time people would want shaved ice. So that's something I had to deal with. And just kind of bounced around Austin. Eventually in 2015, we found our home at Westgate Lanes in South Austin. So that was like a good street traffic in front of a bowling alley out south. The only issue was they kicked me out just a week, like 1 week after being there, because the owner of the diner inside of the bowling alley said that we were interfering with his dessert sales that would go on inside the bowling alley to like bowling alley customers, so like selling ice cream or whatever he wanted to sell. So Westgate Lanes, they said, hey, don't go talk to this guy, but like this is what's happened, and we're sorry, it's like our hands are tied kind of thing. So they told me not to talk to him, but then I went and talked to him like 2 days later and kind of confronted him and said, hey, like this is what I'm trying to do, like I'm not trying to hurt your business, and like if there's any way I can help you in some way, maybe we can work something out. So we eventually like kind of worked it out and set up at Westgate Lanes. So that's kind of been our kind of a rocky path to finding the spot that I felt was best for us.
Do you sell during the winter also?
No, we're closed during November, December, January, and February. So like when I started the business, that was one thing I heard about like Shaved Ice, was that like wintertime you can kind of pack up. So I was like, hey, if I can figure out a way to make most of my money in the summertime and kind of take it easy in the wintertime, I'm all for that. So business started to take off over the few years after that. Lots of repeat business, growing reviews and word of mouth, as well as our own customers started referring us into catering, catering events. People that work for like different corporate companies, you know, had kids in schools nearby, like PTA members, people in different churches, things like that. So we received positive press, different bloggers, as well as like a feature on We Are Austin, the news program. So things started taking off. We put on some charity events, raised like thousands of dollars for Pets Alive, Meals on Wheels, and some other charities. So that was like one way that we helped give back to the South Austin community, which is like we're like pretty entrenched in South Austin. And ultimately, we now have nearly 400 views across all the different platforms, but we still maintain a near 5-star average. Sales have grown by 25 to 50% each year, and things are continuing to expand, even without expanding the number of locations that we have. So it was kind of a rocky path, but ultimately it has all been worth it. Especially because we got to capture a video of our Shaved Ice dancing man twerking against a pole. So how have we kept it all growing? I'll give you guys 3 different ways that we've increased our loyalty, and as well as brought up repeat business. I think the main thing for us was always finding ways to creatively stand out. And I think the operating phrase was keep finding, because you can do something to attract people at the beginning, but like never stop, always like continuing to figure out like innovative ways to do something different or make people laugh, constantly working at it. And the main start for us was our menu. So most like Shaved Ice places will have a classic flavor list, or like a standard type of syrups that go on most like Shaved Ice or snow cones. Everybody likes that stuff, so we wanted to make sure that we were able to like include a menu of the classic flavors that everybody likes, but we also wanted to create our own unique flavor list that was like a next level, like 1 level up. So something unique that would include things like juice-based Shaved Ice, as well as like popular Mexican flavors. I don't know if anybody's ever had like a picadilly, which is a dill pickle Shaved Ice with a little bit of sweet with chili powder and like a crazy chamoy sauce on it. It's wild. It took me like 18 months to start liking it, but you had it before?
I'm maybe semi-familiar.
Yeah. As well as tea and coffee-based shaved ice. So, worked with Chameleon Cold Brew and created a Chameleon Cold Brew coffee-based shaved ice, which is my favorite. These are, it's kind of coincidental that these are actually my two favorite shaved ice flavors. But creamy cold brew coffee, and this is Notorious B.O.G. It's based on the Hawaiian Pog drink, so it's a passion fruit, orange, guava juice based shaved ice. You guys are all getting free shaved ice, so yeah.
Sounds delicious.
You'll get your free cards. Creative ways we found that we could stand out. Our slogan, for starters, our slogan is life-changing snow cones. So that's kind of been our punchy slogan that's kind of stuck over the years, and everybody likes hearing that, and they think it's a joke at first until they're like, holy shit, this is life-changing. Our different street signs, we made sure to put lots of street signs, similar to, you'll see if you're in the e-commerce space, driving traffic into a landing page, or using advertising to drive to your website. Similar, you have traffic driving down the street, using signage to drive people into your location. So using humorous signs along Westgate and stuff like that to help drive people to our location. That was really important. Signage and decor on the trailer. We got a Halloween setup. This was a mini game right here. I was arguing with one of my friends. I said, hey, middle-aged ladies all think that Dr. Oz is super hot, and they're super turned on for Dr. Oz. Hey, do you chicks like Dr. Oz?
And I wouldn't say I think he's hot.
Yeah, I was gonna say my grandma likes Dr. Oz.
I think I misinterpreted.
I also don't
age.
think 35 is middle aged though. So
Yeah, well,
Might not
I'm
be
creeping
enough.
on it too, so I'm back in middle age. But I could swear Dr. Oz was hot among women aged 35 through 60, and he thought not. So I designed this flyer. We put it on both sides of the trailer, serving side and ordering side, and I was definitely wrong. He is definitely not hot. There's also more conventional ways that you can stand out. That could be upgrading the simple decor around your product. So we would bring in fancy napkins and sometimes napkins with jokes and stuff on it. You can sell T-shirts, which can help solidify your brand message, and as well as you have another avenue to create funny jokes, as well as stickers. Everybody in Austin likes stickers. We all know that. Incorporating dogs into your business seems to be a foolproof method for success.
We've heard that before.
So what we have done was create free shaved ice for dogs. So we have a little ice, a little whipped cream, and a milk bone on it. So anybody that brings their dogs can get something for free. And it also makes for copious amounts of social media material. So our newest form of standing out has been Shaved Ice TV. This is our new YouTube channel, and like she mentioned, we're kind of documenting Austin events as well as interviewing different people at our trailer with different themes. So this year we're going to be creating some more game show style videos, maybe some dating, what was it, a Tinder date type of game show at the trailer. We might do some doggy dating type videos too. So that'll be kind of on the slate for 2019. And here's a little clip. Here's a 20-second clip of us asking people to make a expressions about liking shaved ice.
Whoops.
Let's see if this plays.
Can you make a sound of yourself excited, enjoying a cup of shaved ice?
Yeah, that's my favorite part. Am I gonna be on YouTube? So, with all these creative ways to stand out, I think implementation is key because we're bombarded with like lots of different cool ideas. We'll see it on Pinterest, we'll see like crazy stuff on Facebook or Instagram, but we don't do it. So like if we can see something, remember it, and then start like forming like a list or plan for action and then like actually moving on it, I think that's really important. And anything that you can combine with email collection could be really useful because then you can market to them in the future. And one thing that we've done is free shaved ice for all of Austin. We're offering one free shaved ice cup for every single person that lives in Austin if they sign up for our list. Another thing we've done is a gummy guessing competition. So any type of like guessing the number competitions seem to be a really great way to like get engagement as well as to collect email addresses. We've done a lot with gummy worms, gummy bears. We did the chopped pickles for the Piccadillys. We counted out every single like pickle piece, and then I was planning to do a coconut flakes. How many coconut flakes are in this jar? And it hadn't even covered the bottom of the jar, like this same size jar, and I was already at 1,800. So I just like quit. So if anybody wants to help count coconut flakes sometime, let me know. Different creative ways to stand out was the emails that we put out to everybody. We tried to do secret phrases that people could use to create some kind of exclusive feel for our different customers. They can use one phrase and then they'll get something for free. That was something that everybody seemed to like a lot. As well as like segueing into our next point, like just being genuine. Like we're proud to have served our Austin community for another year. Thanks for the support. Just thanking our customers genuinely, and it's real for everything they've done. And I'm known as the brown guy. I just try to stay. I think it's kind of like a running joke for the last like 4 years. I've just been as anonymous as possible in like all my emails. So the second thing is connect emotionally with customers and employees. You should like of course, the number one thing is that you should care about the business that you do, because if you don't, you should go work on a business or get a job that you actually enjoy. If you're not passionate about what you do, it's easy to lose momentum and then crash and burn. The important thing for us has always been to talk to our customers and get to know them on a personal basis, and encourage our employees to get to know our customers on as much of a personal basis as possible. One example of this was the level. Sometimes when it storms extremely hard, we will stay open just as a joke for anybody that shows up, and we've gotten to the point where there are still people that are coming to get shaved ice when it's like pouring ass rain outside. Here is one of our experiences from. Oh man, I did that again. I don't know if y'all remember this. This was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago. Watch the cup fly away. they were nice enough to tip.
We know that made their day.
So do you put this on social media, like while you're open and it's pouring out? This kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
it's got a few thousand views.
Great.
People like this. This is like a replay of that cup flying away. So essentially it just shows like how far are you willing to go to service your customers. It's kind of like a silly example, but I think it's still indicative. I think just as important as customers are taking care of your employees, because your employees will essentially like reflect your own vibes onto your customers. So if you are horrible to your employees, why would they want to treat your customers the same way? They'd rather screw you over than treat your customers horribly. So some of the things that we've done to promote like a healthy work atmosphere is, especially during times of stress, like during the hot summer days when the lines are long like the entire day, making sure that we're giving them breaks as well as like buying food and like providing meals and like doing things like during times of stress are the kind of the breaking moments for any employee where they decide whether they like hate working here or not. So like we want to like make sure that we take care of them during like the most stressful times of the year. As well as events, we do a couple events every year. We did, on this left picture, we did a nail salon event where everybody got their nails done, including me. I got my toenails painted black for the first time, which was an interesting, and it tickles when they chisel your feet. What's it called?
Yes, we know. Yes.
We also did a paintballing event. I don't like paintballing, it's very painful. I don't know what else to say about that, but everybody loved it.
Pedicures were better.
Finally, I think one of the most important things for us is simply, this is simple but powerful, is to ask for reviews. To just simply ask for reviews. Reviews will be like, I know you were concerned about it earlier, reviews are a primary driver of business for any like food related business. Like e-commerce, like we talked about, it might be like slightly different, but for any like physical location where people are going to be going to, they're going to be checking Yelp, they're going to be checking Google reviews. And some people are too scared to ask, but if you're serving anything of value or providing any type of service or product that has value, there are going to be customers, there are going to be people that love you. So once you get to know those people on a personal level, they'll be like, they want you to be successful. So they will write reviews for you if you just genuinely like ask them to do so. And like I wrote, these people are influencers, so like make sure to take care of these people. Something we've done is whenever we see our customers around town or at different catering events, if we're at like at a South by event or like at different like doggy events like we cater at around town, if we see any customers from our Westgate location, we treat them like VIPs at that event, and then hook up like their whole family with free shaved ice. HEB is kind of the place where you see everybody like randomly. So anytime you see somebody, I see somebody at HEB, I just like give them free cards just for seeing them.
When you were saying you see people at events, you have the one truck, right?
Well, we have the Westgate trailer,
Yeah.
as well as 2 catering trucks.
Oh, okay.
So catering trucks going to random events around town, and then the Westgate big trailer is just that
So the West,
stationary.
okay, that one always stays there, the one at Westgate, and the
Exactly.
other two, when you're talking about events, those are the two that you take out there.
Exactly. So, but then we close everything down during the winter time. But we'll start picking back up like when, starting to take like caterings for the spring and especially when South by rolls around. But the trailer opens back up in early March.
How, do you just recognize people who come regularly?
Yeah, people
That
that
you get to know them?
like as we expanded, then like as you expand, you're gonna have to start delegating more. So like over the years, like I'm starting to recognize people more because I couldn't be in the trailer like the entire time. Like it's fun and everything, like talking to trailer, but when you start like running multiple locations and then running like stocking and stuff like that, then I kind of like broaden out a little bit. But I still see like tons of people I still recognize. One thing we did was your review list. If you're able to contact the people that write reviews for you, we contacted them and said, hey, we're about to reopen. What's your mailing address? I'm going to send you like a present. So they'd already written a review for us. Like we didn't even like ask them to. I think we've only asked like, you know, like I wouldn't say like less than a quarter of our reviews have come like because I asked them to, but pretty much everybody, we just sent them a message, hey, I'm gonna hook you up with like a present, like what's your mailing address? And we sent them like fun cards, like with free cards in it saying, hey, we're, the party's back, we're gonna be open on this day. So trying to build the buzz among people that you consider to be VIPs.
When you do ask people for reviews, how do you do that? Is it just like a sign up on the truck, or do you do it verbally, or?
I had some lemonade signs I was gonna bring, but yeah, I had one on the truck that just said, just a genuine message, like if you like this place, you know, if you like Shave by Sound, we super appreciate a review. Just like even anything basics like good enough to get them to act. One like a joke that you can put on it is, and if you don't like this place, don't write a review. And finally on this was to be proactive about managing your negative reviews. Like there's always going to be haters, and a lot of those people, they aren't always negative. They're just like having a bad day or like in a bad mood. So they're in those emotions. Those emotions are strong that day. So you need to respond to like any negative reviews. You got to respond to it fast because you got to catch them while they're hot, essentially. So one thing that we've done was to like address every negative review, like quickly with sincerity, and because of that, we've had a lot of people like write negative reviews and then delete those reviews, as well as, you know, people increasing the reviews because they understand that we're like trying to make it right. You know what I mean? And then some of them, like people they just don't understand. And for example, one guy he gave us a poor review because it was still light outside. We closed at 8 p.m. and it was still light outside. And he wrote a negative review like, hey, it's still bright outside, like y'all shouldn't be closed at this time. 1 star. So we just made him understand that, hey, like it takes 30-40 minutes to close. It's all girls like working at this time. We just try to keep it safe, like keep a level of safety to where like it can still be light outside while they're like shutting down. People like, you know, understand, give good reasons like behind why you do what you do, and especially if it is your fault, then like own up to it and promise to make it right next time.
I have a question on negative reviews.
Sure.
Never having dealt with that. Why don't you give them some time to calm down? And because you said sometimes people are just in a bad mood or have a bad day, and
Well,
then maybe the next day it isn't that big of a deal, whatever aggravated them.
Well, what I found is that if you give them time to calm down, sometimes then they'll forget about it and they'll never even respond again. So like a lot of them, when I responded 2 or 3 days later, I never even heard back, and like I had no choice but to like also write a public review that helps like us look better because they never even responded to it. But I feel like when somebody writes a negative review, they're checking it like multiple times that day, and they're telling their friends like, screw this guy, like this place did this, and they're checking it multiple times. So I feel like that's like, it was the best way to get a quicker response.
So when you,
But I'm sure there's merit in that as well.
so when you're responding, you're trying to respond privately to them if you can.
Yeah.
Like
Especially
on
on
Facebook,
Yelp.
you DM them or something,
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
writing a public response.
I feel like Yelp is the place where everybody likes to burn people. But yeah, you can respond privately, and then having one more, they allow you one more response, which can be a public response. So one private, one public. So usually people don't respond to any of the private messages. In the public message, I'll say, hey, I responded to you privately, but there was no response. I'll include that line in the public response to make sure they like know that everybody knows that, hey, I tried to make it right personally, but you didn't respond to that, you know? So, since this was Prank Your Customers, I'll leave y'all with one of our videos from this summer that we recorded, the Creeper Prank. This is where I pretended to be a shady creeper, potential drug dealer, hiding behind the trailer, asking customers if, trying to get customers to approach me. So I will play this, and then after that we can, if y'all have any other questions, I'll send them my way. I'm gonna come sit down next to you. Oh wait.
Today we are creeping on customers. Will we be able to lure them to give them a coupon?
I was hitting people like free cards and like buy one give one free cards. Dinosaur tail.
You trying to party?
No. Not coming.
I was told that you shouldn't eat here. Don't eat here.
Why?
Without a coupon.
Oh, thank you.
I was told don't eat here.
Why?
They said don't eat up here.
Who told you?
Without a coupon.
Yeah,
This is my favorite one right here. Ready, completely ignored by women.
Good, right?
Yeah, we're trying.
Ma'am. Ma'am.
What?
I was told you shouldn't eat here.
We're okay.
Don't eat here
We're okay.
without a coupon.
Oh. All right.
You guys trying to party?
He would have partied.
No problem. You trying to party? No. You trying to buy a little something, something?
Got the wrong one, honey.
Sir. You trying to party?
Am I trying to party? No.
That guy called him sir.
Somebody told me don't eat here. Don't eat here. Without a coupon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you want to be the first to see our next video, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Leave a comment and stay tuned for more.
That's it.
That's great.
Do people
Thanks,
comment
y'all.
and say that they watched your videos on YouTube and it made them comment?
Not yet, just because we started at the end of the year. So
Oh,
we
okay.
just started making them like in November or October. So we'll see if it can be like a traffic driver. But I think ultimately, like we'll make the videos such that it can be enjoyed by a big audience, like the entire YouTube audience, rather than like just like an Austin audience.
So these videos, is this because you're interested in, you know, you like filming? Is this marketing? Where did that? Is it just combining things you enjoy?
Yeah, I think
don't
it's
know.
very.
I answered those questions.
Well, I grew up with like the Jackass like generation, Johnny Knoxville, but I also like shows like Impractical Jokers, if you've ever seen. So I think it'll be like somewhere in between like all of that.
You look like you're having fun.
Yeah, this is very fulfilling for me. I'm very comfortable dressing in silly hats, stupid costumes, and women's clothing.
You almost have too much fun.
Yeah, too much fun. You'll find that one of the next videos that we're gonna release, I told them earlier, we have our punch card that we do for, you know, the loyalty card for employees. The little punch card has the snow cone with the right on it. I got it tattooed on my right butt cheek 2 weeks ago. So the like kind of the vlog style video of that will be posted here in the next like week or two. So
You shouldn't change industry then.
yeah, I'm stuck. So you guys know.
You're committed now. When you upload a video to YouTube, are you taking any proactive measures so that you have more people view it, or you just load it up and then that's it?
Well, I mean, at first, like now kind of my focus has been like, hey, how do we figure out how to build like the audience base? So that's kind of the part I'm working on. Like we are adjusting like our outros and our like intros to create more engagement, as well as, you know, like the subscribe screen at the end and stuff like that, as well as start reaching out. I'm going to start reaching out to more like people with larger followings to potentially work together, somehow, as well as do like paid shout outs and things like that. So I think that's kind of the battle that everybody like has at the beginning is like, how do you get popular at the beginning? So that'll be kind of the one of the goals for the year.
Well, you mentioned in the beginning that you got kicked out from Westgate, from the bowling alley, and then you talked to the person in charge of the food. What arrangement could you have made that was beneficial to them that involved you still being there? Because you're definitely going to be 6. Yeah. How did you work that out?
It turns out that the guy that owned the diner inside of the bowling alley, he also owned the Cece's Pizza down the street. So he actually called the restaurant inside of the bowling alley Cece's also, but he also sold like burgers and nachos and like pretzels and like bowling alley food. But then Cece's cracked down on him. You're not supposed to sell burgers at Cece's Pizza, right? So it's spelled C-I-C-I, Cece's. He changed the name to Say-Say's, C-E-C-E. He just simply changed the name to Say-Say's Burgers and Fries. But to answer your question, since he owned that Cece's Pizza down the street, that's where I found him. So they said that he owned that pizza place too, so he was over there. So I went and I was like, hey, maybe I can design, because I was designing some websites for some small businesses back then, and say, hey, I can create like a landing page site for you for your pizza place. So,
Gotcha.
And like promotions.
Yeah.
Like joint promotions.
help them, and if you wanted to put like like a poster on our trailer or something for the pizza place,
Gotcha.
then you could do that. So like that's what, if you're trying to, basically people want to know what you can do for them.
Right, yeah.
And that was like kind of a way that I got in and helped out. So he's worked with some charities here in Austin, and I've donated some like Shaved Ice like caterings for them as well, to kind of like show goodwill, because without that decision, like we wouldn't have been able to build a business over the last few years.
And so then no problem since then?
No, I mean everything's been pretty good. We hook up the bowling alley, like their staff, with like half price. So if wherever you guys locate, if there's any employees like close by, like to a business, like you offering them like some kind of deep discount for visiting y'all, will put them on your side. So even if like because like generally the bowling alley president doesn't have time to come eat Shaved Ice generally, but like if all of their employees are like all about us, then that word kind of like translates up the ladder.
And like you said, the president may not come, but the workers who talk to the day-to-day customers and people will also end up recommending you because they go and have your product. We see this with other clients as well. They have like industry nights and things like that, where people that are in industry, as in the food and beverage industry, can come in and get a discount, just a blanket discount. Even if it's not just the place you're parked, it's something that really works.
You give free stuff to grocery store, like people who work in the grocery store as a checker, if your product's sold in the grocery store, then they see it on someone's thing and they say, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
right?
they're the ones who notice it the most, like they're dealing with the most people.
When you do email marketing and you do like guessing games with the worms, what exactly do you do with email marketing, and how much of an impact does it have? And are you tracking that?
Well, I mean, for Shaved Ice Island, we built a email base. We had like 2,000, like 2 to 2,500. If you're doing like internet marketing for e-commerce, you'd be able to, especially if you're like running the metrics on it, you could probably build an email list like pretty fast if you're like running traffic to it. But for this, it was mainly like write it down, write down on a sheet and write in your guests and things like that.
What do you send them? So once you have your mailing list, do you send them coupons?
Honestly, I'll put in like secret phrase kind of stuff, as well as free shaved ice at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, like a free day, like to blow out the like end of the season. But mostly I feel like it's a way to connect. So like to create something that elicits a emotional reaction rather than a promotional tool to bring in. Because I feel like if you create more of like a bond to your business, then the money will follow naturally. But specifically, I think, what do you think? I think that's been like the main thing. Just like
Sending out secret phrases that they can say at the kiosk, like,
That
and
was
get a
the
discount.
track, right?
Well, yeah, you can track, but also like, then everyone at the kiosk is wondering why people are saying, "I am the Batman." You know?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
that's-
and like those email systems, those usually track how many clicks you get, you know, how many opens you get. I don't know the percentages, but like that'll track that for you, and then using the phrase that tracks the people that actually remember to come, you know. But there's been tons of instances where people like, oh yeah, I forgot to come, but like I love that email, and so they do feel more connected, you know, to the business and the
With tracking
brand.
limit, can you track the direct result in sales?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can you track a direct result in sales by
Oh,
just
yeah.
getting something out and then?
Yeah, because you have to track all the sales that you're, you know, the free
Yeah.
product that you're giving out, so you would know how many, you know.
I think for e-commerce, that's
But you
Yeah,
split
e-commerce
twice
you
because
do
you
that
did
too.
something?
So, yeah, I feel like we usually do. Yeah, especially, there's usually always more people coming by, I would say, right?
yeah. I think
I think part of what you're asking is I'm wondering too, how much of your maybe marketing plan or strategies you're looking to hit a certain goal? Do you set goals ahead? You know, if you're sending out an email, is it just because, is it do you do it on a time schedule, monthly? Do you respond differently if people don't open it? You know, do you make changes based on it? Or you just kind of try?
I think we base it on like the holidays a lot of the time.
Mhm.
So there'll be one going out like if you do a promotion centered around the holidays, like a St. Patrick's Day or like a South by or Easter when it comes up, Father's Day, Mother's Day, you know, hookups for those 2 days, as well as like a kickoff summer type email. So I guess it's kind of like
Time-based.
yeah, kind of time based and holiday based.
And that email you showed us, that was kind of your closing for. I mean, that was like that bond you talked about. That was definitely genuine. It didn't, you know, MailChimp frames or whatever. That was just an email.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how you. Is that how you?
And I try to keep it text only on
Oh,
those
oh,
emails.
really?
Like I'll try to keep it text only and keep like you can still go HTML and still run a text email because you can track it. They'll put the tracking codes into your HTML emails, so you can still write an HTML email that just looks like text. So the crazier it looks, the more likely it's going to go to promotion or
So
spam.
That's typically what you do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So pretty much mostly text, and then you can run tests on it, and then when you run your test emails like out of MailChimp or Aweber or whatever, then you'll be able to see if it gets like filtered out or not. And I think like they got those smart filters and see like if you have like if you're using certain words, promo words, then it'll like
Great.
automatically So like the free one, you might need to say complimentary or something. But I remember like trying not to use like too many like promo buzzwords as much in my emails, just so that more people are likely to see it.
Well, unless, like, good marketing shouldn't look like marketing, right? Like, at the
Yeah, I
end of the
think
day,
so.
it makes it more authentic and people are more likely to engage with it, especially if you're looking at, like, a local audience. I'm curious to know, did you, like, A/B test that? That's really fascinating to me, like, the sort of just very basic email versus something that's a little more whiz-bangy with boxes and images. Like, did you send one and send the other and compare? Or just, like, you feel like that's part of your identity and so you just led with that?
Yeah, I think it's more like what I felt, and then what I tested when I was sending my own my own test emails. Then I did notice like some would go to promotionals, as well as like in the earlier days I did send a more like trying to look like bigger than I am kind of email, you know, that kind of thing. So and like not getting a great response out of it. But honestly, like A/B testing and like getting into numbers based, that's the direction I might be headed a lot more in, especially since like with Shaved Ice TV and stuff that we're going to be running like a large amount of traffic, trying to at least run a large amount of traffic to it. So,
Do you feel like if somebody wanted to do kind of what you're doing with the videos and the YouTube kind of stuff, that it requires a large investment? Or do you think you can just start out kind of low budget?
Well, I think it just depends on the knowledge that you have. So if you can edit videos and you have like experience like with filming, some people can still do it on their iPhones and stuff like that. But like the vision that I had, I wasn't even good enough to film with an iPhone, I think, like in my editing talents. So that's why we started working with Liz and Stefan to generate some like higher quality stuff. And it's not cheap. So like a lot of the money that I've been making from Shaved Ice Island, I've been putting towards Shaved Ice TV, just because it's like, I feel like it's definitely a passion project, but it also has like large scale potential to like draw in a lot more people into the subscriber base.
Could also help with ad revenue. If you have people watching, right, even if they're not in Austin and they're probably not going to come purchase a product from you, you might be able to just make money off them watching your videos on YouTube.
Yeah, I think once you start blowing up, then you can do a lot more ad revenue as well as paid sponsorships and then sell different products online if you want. But that would come like a lot later because we only have like 200 subscribers, so we're not making anything. That's for sure.
Well, that's about 195 more than we have on YouTube. So yeah.
But we're going to be running some. I'm going to start getting a little more like intentional about. You talked about like figuring out how to grow your. Getting more intentional about planning like video releases with like some marketing behind it, so that it can get a lot more views.
Very cool. Does anyone else have
Can I ask one last general question? How do you grow a business like yours? Because it's all based on location, right? And on a physical location. So I'm coming from a brand side, so I just need to multiply the products that I store. I mean,
how do you scale this type of business?
Exactly.
To scale a frozen dessert business, you have to kind of collect ones later. You got to do what I said and like create a strong brand, and that comes with taking care of customers, taking care of employees, creating a quality product, implementing systems for success.
Say you go to a different city, then no one knows all the great things you've been doing for your customers, right?
Exactly. So like the way to scale that is to really create that that big customer base and then scale that through the city. So I have multiple locations within the same city, and then to ultimately scale it, then you create a system for franchising that concept. So that would include, product, recipes, marketing, employee management, all systems for, for this type of business, stocking and running your credit card processing, things like that. So just putting that into a system that could be franchised out, so into other cities. Like any franchise, you don't know if people want it, but then the point of the franchise is that it's strong enough to attract people to it in a certain amount of time.
And so your scale trajectory would be like city only, then maybe county, then state, then region, then beyond.
Yeah, well, for me, I figured that because like we haven't expanded locations really. At first, it was like I'm more of a creative type and not as much of a like systems process type. She's actually amazing at like that stuff. So in our relationship, we've had like a very complementary relationship that she's good at the stuff that I'm not good at. But we didn't expand, like, so we didn't expand locations other than catering, just because like our amounts of like inquiries kind of merited that. But like, as far as permanent locations, we haven't expanded yet. We might this year, we might next year. But for me, it was mainly getting over the logistics hump. Like me personally, like understanding like how can I run and stock, like, and run back and forth and manage employees like all at the same time. So that was kind of the main issue for me. But like we've created more measures for like training and like hired, like human resources was all like foreign to me. Like I've never really started a serious business before, so just kind of learning how to do it on the fly, because learning about human resources in college doesn't teach you anything, you know? It's just like actually experiencing it. So, but I'm not planning to like create a Shaved Ice Island in any other city or anything like that. Just maybe like 2 or 3 here in Austin, and then just try to grow the business, either through like, you know, fun Shaved Ice TV stuff. That doesn't really grow the business, but something related that can attract a lot of people in a different direction, or potentially through consulting rather than franchising. I don't think I'd want to like have to like oversee a giant like franchise system, but maybe consulting.
So you started in 2014, is that right? And then now I know you have 2 catering trucks now. Where was that in the timeline?
That catering truck.
Sorry. And when did that come?
That was the first one, and it's now one of our catering trucks. So then we got a small trailer, and then in 2018 upgraded to the big trailer that's over there, a 24-foot.
So in between, did you take your station or your original trailer to a location throughout?
Yeah, that was the tricky part about it, because you have like at a permanent location, you have customers that want you to be at a certain point, at a certain place at a certain time. So that's very tricky, because I remember a couple of times where like big corporate event, like they wanted me to be there from like 2 to 4 p.m. or something like that. So early in like 2015, I like go to open up and then like sneak off to like a catering event and then like sneak back and open back up. But I knew that was like the wrong thing to do, because if people are expecting you to be somewhere, you need to be there before like they burn you online about it.
All right, we got time for one more before we wrap it up. Does anyone have one more question?
And I'm sure you could talk one-on-one, right?
Yeah, there will be that too. All right, in that case, I'm going to advance our slides here. We have which we're happy to do. Was this the last slide?
No, you arrow, left or right.
There we go. So this is all self-explanatory. We're all friends here, small room, but you can join our email list. If you signed in, we will add you to it. We promise we only send 1 email a month. We don't spam you. If you go to awesomefoodmarketing.com, if you haven't already or you're a guest here tonight, you can join our meetup group as an official member. It's free. You'll get notified of future events. And then if you'd like to get involved in any way, speaking like Rahul was kind enough to do tonight, we certainly accept speakers. I think we're booked through May of this year, but we do have openings in the fall. And then a big thank you to our sponsor, Capital Factory, which lets us use this space for free, which is really cool of them. So thank you all for coming. Thank you so much for being here tonight and for speaking and answering questions and staying so long, giving your time. I really appreciate you all. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We've done booze. We market booze parties. So we do.
You have a card?
I would do.
Oh yeah, let me give everybody cards.
Do you guys have to have a liquor license for that, or do you partner with a bartender, or how does that work?
You can't like, basically, we have the customer provide all the alcohol from like a legal perspective, and then we have TABC certified like pours,
servers.
so they'll provide the booze, and then we dump it in, start the party, and then they can leave with their own alcohol. So like at our physical location, I don't think there's any way to get around it. Need like a
So you said you're in Westgate and Buchanan?
Westgate and Williamson.
During the
Okay.
season, when you have all 3 trucks up and running.
Thank you.
Do you have the ones you
Now,
don't?
don't go here, there's nothing
It
there.
depends what you have in there. So
Sign
it's
up
like
on your list, you'll let me
if
know.
you are,
Yeah, I'll let you
Thank you
know.
very much.
Thank you.
like if you have stuff that's gonna melt, then you know, of course you wanna like plug it in.
info
But if
email
it's
address
stuff that's like
is
pretty
just
stable
going
or
to
it'll
you?
stay in the freezer, it'll be fine overnight. If your freezer's super
Info
cold,
here.
then it might be fine for like the morning.
When you want it to be plugged in overnight, we all do.
Like at the,
Got it.
wherever
Okay.
you park it, there's, you can have, like food truck parks and stuff, you know, they'll have a plug-in where you plug your truck in. So
Yes,
like
sir.
there's, I don't know what it's called, he knows about like the
Yeah.
electrical
Very
stuff
much.
more, but there's like the big
Appreciate that.
food truck plugs, you
Yeah.
know, so
Do
like
you use
most.
3 phase electrical truck?
Yeah.
You do?
50, well, 3-phase, that's just a standard plug, right?
No, it has 4. 3 phase has.
Oh, the 50 amp plug.
Yes. Is that what you use?
We were using a generator at the beginning.
Yeah.
That first year, a Honda generator, which is like super rep like Honda generators, but like we had to upgrade, you know, for a permanent location. So we got our meter loop, like electrical pole installed, and then had a 100 amp connection. So, but we only drew like 30, 40 amps of power. So we have some room for expanding like lights and like more air. We might get another air conditioner on the trailer.
Do you have hookups on site for like dealing with gray water and things like that?
Yeah. Freshwater, gray water tank. We don't have. There isn't like the water's like pretty far away, so we have to just run transport to it. But I've kind of like trained staff to deal with all that stuff.
What about with the truck, the more mobile trucks, not the stationary one? What do you do with those?
If you sign up for any type of like mobile food business, then you're required to sign up with commissary. I don't know if you've like dealt with some of that stuff yet.
We're
Yes.
starting to, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people get to say.
Then you stop by your commissary. Essentially, that's why you like do your where you do your like
Facility, yeah.
you can food prep there as well as dump your gray water and fill your fresh water over there. So it's but like what some guy told me was that like most every place in town, all they do is just wait until it gets dark and then dump their stuff on the street. So and some of it's like really gross too, with like some food businesses.
Yeah, I can imagine like with grease and fats, especially if you're like running a fryer or a griddle, like that can get really
But that's
gross.
why
But that doesn't really apply to you, and I mean, in terms of, what I mean is maybe it's not right to do that, if you're not dumping grease, you're full of ice and sugar, so.
Yeah, I mean, like they wanted us to run the ice shaver, like the bins. They wanted us to run it into like the wastewater tank and stuff like that. But it's like all it is water. It's melted ice because we repurpose the melted ice to like wash our tables and then